Krista Dittmeyer's story begins the way many tragedies do, with an ordinary day. It was April 22, 2011. Krista, a 20-year-old single mother, was visiting friends in Bridgeton, Maine, with her toddler daughter Aaliyah. Krista had grown up in Maine but moved to South Portland to be closer to Aaliyah's father. Though the relationship had ended, Krista remained dedicated to keeping things healthy for her daughter. Friends described her as kind, loyal, a little shy but always present when it mattered. She had her own share of struggles, including adjusting to life as a young mother while juggling the remains of a complicated relationship. But she was doing it, raising her daughter, staying close with friends, and trying to carve out a stable future. She had dreams too. A better apartment, maybe school, a job she could be proud of. She wanted the kind of life for Aaliyah that was full of love and laughter, not instability and fear. Krista was known for her patience, never the loudest in the room, but always the most dependable. She didn't have much, but she gave what she could, and more often than not, that meant giving her time, her trust, and her heart. In many ways, she represented the quiet resilience of single mothers across the country, doing everything they can, often with very little, and rarely asking for anything in return. She'd started keeping a journal, the kind filled with affirmations and to-do lists. "Smile more today," she wrote once. "Aaliyah's laugh fixes everything." To the outside world, she may have looked like just another young mom trying to figure things out, but inside, she was crafting a life of intention. Every bottle prepared, every bedtime story read, every decision made, it was all for her daughter. That was her rhythm. That was her world. So when her car was found idling in a ski resort parking lot in the early morning hours of April 23rd, hazard lights blinking, doors unlocked, and her baby safe in the backseat alone, it triggered immediate alarm. Aaliyah, just 14 months old, was found unharmed. Cold but okay. A bystander who noticed the vehicle reported it to the police, and within minutes, officers were on the scene. The child was taken into protective care and warmed up at a nearby medical center. But Krista was gone. Police treated the case with urgency from the start. They knew time was critical. The ski resort lot where her car was found was secluded, dark, and rarely used that time of year. The fact that Aaliyah was left unharmed, and in plain sight, sent a chilling message. Whoever did this didn't want to hurt the baby, but they wanted Krista gone. As news broke, her face began appearing on local news stations and social media. Flyers went up around town. Candlelight vigils were held. The search for Krista became a community effort. Volunteers combed the wooded areas around Bridgeton, hopeful but preparing for the worst. Her friends took to Facebook and local forums, begging anyone with information to come forward. The mystery moved fast. Police began questioning friends, family, and acquaintances, quickly zeroing in on the people she had stayed with the night before. There were inconsistencies in their stories. One man in particular, Tony, seemed nervous, hesitant. He was reportedly the last person to have seen Krista. As the hours turned to days, a dreadful feeling settled over the town. Krista wasn't the kind of woman who'd just vanish. Not without a word, not leaving her baby behind. 5 days later, divers recovered her body from a nearby pond, submerged in water just off a quiet rural road. Her body had been weighed down by cinder blocks. The town's fear became grief, and grief quickly turned into anger. Authorities discovered that Krista had been lured to the home under the pretense of friendship. There she was ambushed. The motive? Drugs and money. A setup. A betrayal by people she had once trusted. The plan was cold. Knock her out, restrain her, put her in the trunk of her own car. Then dispose of her body while leaving her child behind as a distraction, something that would grab attention quickly. 3 men were charged. Tony L. was the one who made the plan. 2 others carried it out. Each had varying degrees of involvement, but none escaped justice. One of them had a long-standing criminal history, while another had only recently become entangled in the local drug scene. Krista had known these men, not as strangers but as friends, and that may have been what ultimately sealed her fate. Investigators later revealed that Krista may have been viewed as a liability, someone who knew too much, or someone they feared might talk. Whether that fear was grounded or not didn't matter to them. To the men who killed her, Krista's life was a problem to be dealt with. Disposable. It later emerged that one of the men had texted Krista that night, offering to help her find a better place to stay, somewhere quiet, where she could relax. It was all part of the lure, a calculated lie to make her feel safe. Witnesses later testified that Krista had even called one of her friends, saying she'd be back soon, that she was just dropping by. There was no sign of hesitation in her voice. The courtroom was packed during sentencing. Family members spoke of the void left behind, of the little girl who would grow up without her mother, of Krista's kindness, her laughter, her fierce love for her daughter. Her mother, barely able to hold back tears, spoke directly to the judge. She trusted them, she said. She trusted them with her time, with her daughter, with her life. One friend told reporters, Krista wasn't flashy. She didn't make waves. She just wanted peace. And they took that from her. Another said, the hardest part isn't just that she's gone, it's that she never saw it coming. The sentences ranged from 20 years to life. But for those who loved Krista, it could never feel like enough. What punishment could possibly balance the horror of what was done? What sentence could restore a mother to her child? The case made headlines across the country not because it was especially complex, but because it was heartbreakingly avoidable. A young mother, trying to do right by her child, manipulated and murdered by people she should have been able to trust. People who saw her vulnerability and used it against her. Krista's daughter, now a teenager, is being raised by her maternal grandparents. She is safe, thriving, and surrounded by love. Family friends say she looks just like her mother. Same big eyes, same quiet determination. Aaliyah now plays soccer and sings in the school choir. Her grandparents say she has Krista's stubborn streak and her sense of humor. Every once in a while she asks questions. Not all at once, but little ones. Did Mom like to dance? Did she like the rain? And every year on the anniversary of Krista's death, friends and family gather. Not just to remember her, but to remind the world that her life mattered. That the choices of others may have ended her journey, but not her legacy. They release lanterns into the sky. They wear pink, her favorite color. They tell stories. They cry. They laugh. And for a moment, it feels like she's still there, just out of sight. Because Krista Dittmeyer didn't vanish without a trace. Her story left ripples, in her town, in her family, and in the hearts of strangers who never knew her, but still feel the weight of what was lost. In a way, that's the part of the story that lingers most. Not the crime itself, but the silence that followed. The unanswered texts, the empty seat at the table. The way Aaliyah's smile sometimes catches her grandparents off guard, because it's like seeing Krista walk back into the room. Maybe that's why we tell stories like this. Not to dwell on darkness, but to hold on to the light that someone like Krista brought into the world. Because her story, like too many others, deserves more than a headline. It deserves to be remembered, spoken, shared.